Zack is very busy and he gets a lot of requests for these. And I've kind of promised him that you're the coolest, most, present, interesting people in London. So, don't disappointment.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
I'll move the TV your way.
Okay, so my name is Zack. Oh, thank you. Maybe I should have been on the other side. So my name is Zack, and I call myself a full stack machine learning engineer. My sort of background is in software development, and as I fill the time until this is plugged in, I'll tell you a bit about my life. It all started, no. My background is in software development. I've been working at Google about 7 years, been working in tech about 10. I moved to London 10 years ago, so I've been working as soon as I got to London. That was my first job. I did not learn about AI machine learning at university. All of what I've learned has been learned through online courses and meetups. My background being in actual application development kind of led me to sort of go down this path with machine learning and data science specifically. Anybody familiar with the area of data science? How many people kind of familiar with that? Basically statistics. Anybody knows how to use an Excel spreadsheet? Same thing. That is what data science was and still is kind of. And that was like the precursor to all this generative AI stuff was that. And it was just about fitting lines to curves. And when people were learning about data science, it was like, oh, it was a hot thing. And then they would go and they would create these graphs and stuff. My background being in application development, I was kind of more interested in how could we take these data science models and actually put them into apps and applications. So I was more concerned with the full journey. So not just building the model, but let's get it doing something and get it actually usable. Because a lot of stuff that happened in the data science community is people would make these things called Jupyter notebooks. I don't know if everyone's familiar with Jupyter notebooks. It's just code, but they call it a different thing. But it's just code, and they'll say my work's done. And they'll give this to a company, and the company's like, well, how do I use this? What do I do with this? And it's useless. So I was more interested in how we can build actual applications. So that's what all my stuff is about. Let's see. I'm going to do. What do you want to? Okay, let's try this. It worked. Cool. Okay. So this is what I do. I like building stuff. I like working with the new technology. The main thing I care about is actually solving problems. I care about building stuff that actually people can use to do things with that thing. Here are some examples of the things I've done at Google. So, actually, this was how I got my job at Google. I kind of talked about this in my interview. So, my sort of passion for machine learning, data science, and sort of education leads me to kind of just I like building these kind of visualizations of things to kind of help me understand stuff. So I have play around a lot with electronics, Raspberry Pis, if you're familiar, small little computers. And as I was learning about machine learning and neural networks, I was looking at this and I was like, well, I've got these Raspberry Pis, I've got these LED strips. It's what if as I'm training this neural network, I visualized it physically, so I could have a physical neural network. And it was kind of inspired by seeing Avengers and seeing Jarvis visualize. And so that's what I did. And this is a physical neural network, and it's basically useless. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't solve any real problem. I just thought, oh, this is a cool visualization. But what's kind of interesting is when I built it and I actually displayed it, and I looked at it carefully, it kind of reminded me of almost like metal heating up, the way these things learn. They kind of start cold, and then as they heat up, different parts will get very strong signals. Other parts will get, it was red for positive signal, blue for negative, or green for something. Doesn't matter. But what matters is it's changing, and then it's kind of locking into its understanding. So this is learning some pattern, and it kind of heats up. And that's all it did. Kind of useless, but kind of cool. That's a lot of my work. And the next bit, when I got to Google, we had some cool technology. We had some stuff that could run on devices. So you might not be able to see this in the back. If you cycle in London, anybody cycle in London? Anybody recommend cycling in London to a family member? That's the problem. So it's quite scary in London. So I was like, oh, what could help me with this? And I figured if I had eyes on the back of my head, that would be perfect. But I didn't, so I used AI instead. And I put a camera facing the back. We had this little thing, it was like a USB accelerator, so it made AI models run a lot faster. So if I put this sort of car detector model on a Raspberry Pi, by itself it would run one prediction every second, which would be very slow as you're going, waiting to be updated if there's something behind you. With this little USB thing plugged in, it ran 100 predictions a second. So it was a really cool piece of technology, and so I built this thing to kind of demonstrate, one, a useful use case of this technology, and also to kind of highlight when to use this technology, because those are the really cool things I like to try to find. So this is a bicycle. This is a sort of a danger application. It needs to be very fast, and it also needs to be very remote. So this thing being the size of a USB stick could easily fit on a bicycle, and this thing being a bike and not connected to the internet can sort of leverage the fact that this is running all on device. So these are the things I really, really like finding, actual problems that can only be solved by this new technology. I call these uniquely solvable problems. And then that leads me to one of my most popular projects that I've built at Google. It was one of the first ones. This one was more just a really important problem, really, which is whether or not you should eat the snack on your desk. And the idea is that this was using image classification. This was built 7 years ago. Surprisingly, my manager really liked this, but mainly just because it was funny. But the very interesting bit about this is it's not really a real problem. You could say, oh, you could use an app to tell you if you might be allergic to something, but I wouldn't really trust an app to tell you that. This whole thing, that thing on the right, that was all built in one day. So when I show this, I like to kind of emphasize the sort of usefulness of knowing what tools you can build quickly with. Because this was an idea in the morning, I was sort of building it out, and this was literally the end of the day from idea to sort of MVP of this. And what's funny about this is the tool I used to build this is called AutoML. It's a cloud tool. But what's funny is the company I worked at before Google, we were a data science consultancy. We needed to build this system that would help sort of screen applications to a specific program. They wanted to use text, AI, etc. So we were building our custom models to do this. We spent maybe 3 months of work, full time, building this model. When I got to Google, I discovered that there's a tool that could have done that for me in a few hours. So it was a bit embarrassing. I never told the company about the tool. But this model that was trained to do this custom task of food recognition, all I had to do was give it the data, and it would train the model, do all the right things for me, and then it would give me just a little bit of code that I would run on the Raspberry Pi, and it would just do the job for me. And this is the thing that I'm really excited to share with people is I want to share with you things you didn't know you could do easily. That's my sort of passion, and it's really fun because as soon as I discover something, I'll basically tell everybody who's sitting around me this thing. And even yesterday, and I'll show it today. Even yesterday, I made a post on LinkedIn about here's this quirky feature I discovered, and the guy sitting next to me, who's more senior than me at Google, who's been using the exact same tools, literally walks over and was like, Zach, I genuinely didn't know you could do that. That's really useful. I'm going to use that going forward. That's the really fun thing that I get to do. So I want to do that with everyone here today. So to kind of start off, raise your hands if you are a coder. You write code. Okay, you're the minority. That's good. That's good because everybody else, you're going to have the most to sort of gain from this session. Raise your hand if you've used ChatGPT, any sort of AI. I assume it's most people. Raise your hand if you use that on a daily basis. Wow, it's more than the first question. Okay, interesting. Let's get in. This is my favorite topic, real talk. If I got a chair, I want to make it look more dramatic.
What kind of chair?
Oh wait, this one. This one, if it doesn't break, because then it's like a spoken word. Okay. So, this is going to be an interesting session. People won't see me at the back. No, this is me. Okay. This is going to be a very interesting session because I'm in the Google office, but my job title technically changed from advocate to evangelist. I don't like that. I really like the word advocate, that's why I still use it. I think an advocate of something is somebody who sort of shows you what to do or helps guide you. And the importance is guide, so I'm going to try to guide you to where to go and where not to go. That's what I kind of think of as advocate. So I'm a developer advocate, so I'll guide developers where to go and where they shouldn't go. Evangelist, I feel like is kind of like, just go, and I don't care where you go. Like it makes me feel like a bit more salesy. So I don't like that because I do have places you shouldn't go, and I want to kind of tell them right now. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Can I share?
Yeah.
Okay. So hype. That's a big one. Who thinks AI is overhyped? I think it's overhyped. I think, and I know why, and it's really interesting because we do this. We're going to need to edit the video, but we do this at Google, which is we get very excited about stuff that comes out, and it's really cool. But we get excited almost too early. And an example of this is another technology, VR. Everyone, like anybody who has a VR headset now, a couple of people said this is really interesting. VR was huge, like I don't know, 7 years ago. It came out and it was like really cool, but it was very clunky, not that great. It gave people headaches. I recently tried like the Oculus Quest. It's really good. It's so good. Like it's like no headaches, super lightweight. It's all in one device. You don't need a computer. We got really excited about the technology early. It didn't work for us, so we ignored it, and then we kind of forgot about it. But now, if you go and try a VR headset, they are so good. It's really, really good. It's a really good technology right now, but it really wasn't at the start. And I feel like with AI, we kind of are going through the same cycle, and it's happening on a more micro scale. So literally with every model, with every new feature, we, especially at Google, get super excited about showcasing that feature. We'll showcase it, but we do this thing, and I've been guilty of doing it. We will cherry pick, especially if it's sort of generating media and stuff. Oftentimes we'll show like, oh, look at this really cool image it generated, but we might not say that that was like the 10th image, or that was like the 5th video. And that's the thing, we kind of cherry pick it. So when people use it, it's more likely than not that their first result is not going to be great. They're going to get disillusioned. You're not going to use it again. But what's unfortunate is that we are actually constantly updating these models. And so in literally a couple of weeks, that 1 in 5 image being good now becomes 4 in 5, or like 9 in 10. So it's this unfortunate thing where we get very excited, we showcase it, people use it, they don't like it, but actually in a couple of months it's actually going to be very useful. This exact thing happened to me this week, where we have this tool, Firebase Studio. Anybody heard of it? It's a neat, a couple of people. I thought it was very niche, but at least a couple of people have heard of it. It's basically one of these like tools that people might be afraid replace programmers. So you give it an app idea and it will build it for you. When it first came out and I was testing it maybe 2 months ago, I was sitting next to one of the people on the team and I was like, this isn't good. This doesn't work. This doesn't build even like simple stuff. And so I kind of like stopped using it, or I didn't want to use it anymore because it wasn't useful to me. And then, because I've kind of reminded myself about this pattern of you get excited because you see the cherry-picked example, you try to use it, doesn't work for you, and then you ignore it. And I was like, okay, I'm mindful of this. I'm going to keep trying it every week to see if it's improved. Yesterday, I tried it to build something for this talk that I'll show you later, and it absolutely nailed it. It was genuinely gave me like chills that, wow, this actually works, this actually is really, really good. It's a shame you kind of showed it to me before it was ready. So yeah, I believe AI is overhyped, but I believe because the updates are coming actually quite rapidly, basically every month, these models are changing, features are being improved. I think, especially the new features, be cautious. They're probably not going to work reliably. But the features that you maybe tried a month or 2 ago and they didn't work for you, this is the thing. With these new tools, keep experimenting with them, keep going back to them, keep giving it another chance. It'll change, it'll be different. That's the way it is. So that's my take on hype. I think it is true, but because we're cherry picking the initial examples. If you try things continuously, genuinely these tools can be useful when they get a bit more mature. Is that fair? What are the best models? I think we see this a lot of like, we've made the best model, and I've got a bone to pick with this. So, you may have seen or heard about these like tables of like the rankings of the best models. Is anyone familiar with these? People are like, oh, we got the best model score. This is very interesting, and it's convenient that Google's at the top because for this talk. But at the moment, Google's at the top. But here's the thing with these scores that I have a problem with, is these scores they have what's called like a test data set. It's kind of like how you try to like grade yourself at school. You'll take a test. That test should be representative of the knowledge you've learned. It will be a subset. It will not be comprehensive. If you happen to know what's on that test, you will get a good score. Very, very similar to what, actually it's pretty much identical to what happens here. There is a test data set. All these models get run through. The test data set should be representative of what the models should be experiencing out in the wild. It is a subset. If you do good on that test, you get a good score. There are some things that happen here that can make it so that the best model on this leaderboard is not necessarily the best model that you should use. Again, this is a subset that they're tested on. This approach did work in the past for classical machine learning. For things like my object detector of like, is this healthy food or unhealthy food? This did work in the past. But the reason it worked is because of this. Because we actually had a representative data set of what the models are likely to experience. So for example, if we're analyzing, in this case it's a flower data set, we're trying to classify flowers based on a couple of sort of things like the petal length and other things. When you group these flowers, we cluster them with a color, we can see, okay, there's 3 different types of flowers here. This is the kind of measurements any flower could possibly have in this region. If we take a subset of this data and we use that as test data to see if our model is good or not, it will be a very representative score. If it gets 99% on a subset of these that are kind of scattered in the same sort of way that real life data is, like that's a good score. I can be confident that that model is going to perform 99% of the time well if I choose any random point, even a point that's not here, because I know it's kind of like, it's a representative test data. With large language models, how do you predict how a person's going to use the model? There are to kind of give an idea based on this, this is like, if we imagine this is the test data that's used to test our models, there's probably a region over here that is you using your model to test the dietary requirements of your hamster. Okay? That's not in the test data. It might not perform that well for that problem, or it might. It might be really good at the problem. So the only thing I can say about when you hear like, this is the latest model, is like, it depends on your use case. The test data is very not going to be representative of all the possible use cases that we can use these models for. It's kind of a crazy time in technology where we've built a tool where we don't know all of the actual possibilities that it can be used for. Usually we built a tool specifically to solve a problem. Now we just built a tool in theory to solve every problem. And it's kind of weird because how do we test that it can solve every problem? So we can't. So when you're using these models, if you hear about the latest model, don't just assume like, oh, this will definitely work for my use case. The main thing is like experiment continuously for your specific use case and experiment across these models. So at the very start, even when Gemini was at the top, I was using Claude for a lot of coding because Claude happened to be better at code. Now that's kind of flipped, and I assume that's going to flip again. So it's the really important thing of all these models. This leaderboard is kind of fuzzy. Test things yourself on your own problems because it might be very good at it and it might be very bad at it. Is that fair? The last thing, the promise of productivity gains. So this is a big one. I work at Google in a team that is focused on AI tools like this. You've probably heard like, oh yeah, AI potentially can replace jobs, people, it'll make you hyper productive. No, a productive person is productive. The AI is just a tool. If you are a productive person, you're going to be productive regardless of the tool. You'll get more done, but my sort of thing of productivity, it's kind of weird because I think of it like, productivity versus work-life balance. I think that's the thing that people get kind of, well, they assume, oh, productive means you're going to have a good work-life balance. Like, no. The way you have a good work-life balance is saying no to more work. That's what I found. That is the best non-AI, well, it's not even, it's just the best solution in general. Like, people on my team are like, they take on too much work. A person who takes on too much work without AI will still take on too much work with AI. Is that fair? Like, genuinely, if the AI might do more work for you, if you're not in the habit of like, actually no, this is too much work, then you're still going to keep doing that. So this is what I've seen. Genuinely, even people at Google who are like experts in AI, overworked, stressed, because they keep piling on more work. A good analogy that I heard that I really like is the idea that AI, our new AI model, is like a new bicycle. You could be cycling along and you get to work in like 20 minutes and you're putting in like 100% of your effort. You get this new bike. The new bike is faster, more efficient, all those things. And now you have a choice. Do you put in the same amount of effort to get to work faster? Or do you put in less effort to get to work at the same time? And what you'll find, especially in our kind of society where we're trying to like get that growth, people want to they'll put in still 100% effort and they want to get there faster.
It's a line bike image. No?
A line bike?
Electric bike. You still cycle really fast.
You're still putting it. I want it to go faster. I'm still like, why am I still working as hard?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Yeah. Usually, people will want to go faster. And where I think, like, genuinely, if you want to make this tool work for your life, is you find that balance of it's going to do a bit more work for me, but I'm also going to take a bit more slack from it. I'm going to like slow down a bit. I'm going to say no to a few things because I'm able to do the work that I was assigned, plus a bit, but call it there. It's a fine balance, easier said than done. This is like not AI, this is not technology, this is like life management stuff. So with that, the last thing I'll put on the real talk stuff is if you genuinely want to be more productive, have a better work-life balance, the two things that genuinely help me: organize your email, not AI. There's a system called Zero Inbox. Does anybody use that? A couple of people. Genuinely changed my life. I went from like scattering through email, don't know what I'm doing, to like Zero Inbox, where like I clear out my email, I triage it in the morning. Takes no time once you learn the shortcuts. Zero Inbox will save you more time than any AI can possibly do. And then the second tool that has genuinely improved my productivity, work-life balance, everything, is organizing my calendar and using it properly. So actually put things in your calendar, have a personal calendar, have a work calendar, and make sure they're kind of shared between each other but separate. People can't see your personal calendar, but you can see it when you're booking things in your work calendar. Genuinely, not AI. No AI can do that for you. That's the thing that's genuinely saving the most time. And then one more thing, one more tool that has genuinely changed my life, and I think everybody should know it exists. So, I have my backpack, and I saw a colleague show me this, and I was like, oh my god, that's incredible. So, does anybody know what this is? It's a carabiner, but it's not. It's not. It's a carabiner with a built-in hook. So, if you go to like a pub, you can like hook your bag on the table, and it will like, on a normal table, it will like keep it off the dirty ground. And then more importantly, when you're traveling and like the toilet stall doesn't have a hook, you can hook your stuff. How cool is that? Like this AI what? Okay. So that's genuinely the most useful thing in my life right now. With that, I want to skip this. This is a fun clip, but that's kind of what I covered. I want to actually just show you ways that I'm using AI in kind of useful ways for my life. Good things to know about. The main thing is targeting the boring stuff. The most boring thing I have to do at work, I don't know if anyone else has to do this, you have to report what I do. Does anybody do this where it's like, I gotta do a thing, but then I spend half my time telling you that I've done the thing? And then not only that, because I'm kind of like, I'm a programmer, so I barely write English. I'll be very, very like concise. So I built this thing. This is using Google Sheets. I like keeping it where I actually use stuff. And what I do, so for example, and what I've also done is I've mapped the microphone thing. Gave a talk about AI at a meetup. That's also very useful to do. And then I come and scroll out a bit to see it. I made this little thing. And this is running called AppScript. So this is like a scripting language for your spreadsheets. I think it's the most useful thing to learn. Forget Python, forget JavaScript. Well, technically it's JavaScript. But anyway, I didn't give a talk about AI. What I did, and what I said to my manager, is I demonstrated technical expertise by giving a talk about AI at a meetup, sharing knowledge and insights with the developer community, and acting as a subject matter expert in the field specialization. Isn't that good? Like, that's how my manager wants to read it. That's how they'll get it. I don't want to write that. And the really cool thing is these little citations. That's citing my job description. So if they're like, how well did you do your job? It's like, well, it's very well, apparently. Because it's actually like, that's the thing I'm being paid to do, is technical expertise. So this is the first thing I've done. I built this months ago. I still use it. Genuinely saves me a lot of time. And my manager, when we did our performance review, he was like, this is the best review I've ever read. And it was like, and you did it so quick, how did you do it? And then I told them, and then now the other teammates use it. So that's the thing of like, I use it for that, these little things. One other thing, this is one of my favorites as well. This is an email. This is a classic email I get. Victoria sends me these sometimes. These are like event emails with lots of dates in them. And the tricky bit with this is I really struggle reading things. And genuinely, I'll get an email like this. There's like, I don't know how many dates in there. So I built a little extension. Again, it's like within Workspace. And I think this is the most useful place to build stuff. Build stuff where you're already working. Don't build another app that people have to use. If you're going to build something, especially for your teammates or for yourself, what tools are you already using? And then you can like look into like, can I build something that I can like an extension or an add-on? I believe those are the most useful things you can actually build. So I built this little extension add-on. And when I say build, I say I got AI to generate the code. So, and all it does, takes the email, finds all the dates in there. There's actually 4. It tells me like when it is. It's got an indicator of red because I built this a while ago, so all of these dates are in the past. But if it's like coming up, it's orange. If it's far away, it's green. And then I can be like, okay, I can review and be like, yeah, that's all there. Let me add this to my calendar. And it actually adds it to my calendar with a link back to the email and all that stuff. Like it's these little things that I kind of have to identify these friction points in your life. Like genuinely, what is costing you the most friction? And see if AI is potentially a solution. Because if it's to do with language, if it's to do with text, if it's to do with generating text or reading text, AI is a really good solution for that sort of thing. Everything else around image generation, video generation, honestly, when I see them, I think, that's cool. Doesn't solve any of my problems that I currently have, but it's cool to know about. If I was working in an area where I needed images on the fly, maybe it was like marketing and stuff, then it's useful to me. At the moment, that's not useful, cool to know about. But at the moment, this is the most useful thing for me. It's like dealing with emails, dealing with performance reviews. So that's the problems I try to solve for myself. With that, I want to show one more thing. It's this app I built. I had a knee injury recently, and before I went to the gym, my physio was like, oh, you gotta do this exercise, which requires 2 people. One person will stand in front of you, you'll run at them, and they'll say, go right or go left, and you've got to react to that. I'm like, that sounds like I could potentially build an app for that. And what I meant in my head, I was like, that sounds like AI could build that app. And this is what it did. Genuinely, I gave it a prompt to say, build a web app that uses the camera, that tracks me. When I get close enough, give me a random direction to go. And now I can configure it with the little threshold. So if it goes below 70, so I come, I run, left, go left. Genuinely, I used this. It was 10 minutes before I went to my gym session, built it, used it for the session, and I used it for a couple of sessions until I didn't need it anymore. The beauty of this sort of thing is, this would, for me to build as a web developer, this might take me a couple of days or a week. But I was able to have the idea, have the vision for something I actually wanted, and using the generators and the code builders, build this. And I think this is the most useful thing with the code generation bit. If you have a strong vision for yourself, and it's a problem where you don't have enough time to invest more energy into it, that's where it's perfect. These little ideas that are like, oh, I don't really have the time to build this, but it's like a cute little idea. These are the best things to experiment with because very low risk. Low risk, low stakes, but can be potentially very useful for yourself. So with that, how are we doing for time?
Good.
We're good. One last thing. I think I've got a couple more slides here. Does anybody have any specific questions or themes that they care about? I think we heard before ethics. There's like ethics there.
Yeah.
So the topic of AI and ethics is a really good topic. And in fact, you might think that I didn't have a slide for that. But actually I do. So there's a few things to consider with AI and ethics. And there's things around like the bias, around like when we're training these models, there's a lot of things around who's training them and how the biases are going into those models. And then the privacy of like the data that's actually being used to train. And then this is a big one, explainability. Are you able to use the model to explain how it's making those decisions? And we have things like thought process, etc. It's the kind of thing I want to leave for the discussion.
Yeah.
But with that, is there any other like really, really niche topics? Yeah?
Environmental harm.
Environmental harm, okay, so the environmental harm caused by AI is also a really interesting topic. There's considerations around, in fact, actually, I've got a slide for this as well. So, the environmental harm of AI is to do things with, you've got the energy caused by the training of the models, but there's also considerations around local models. So I talked a bit before about the AI models that are used on the edge, and we've got models like open source models like Gemma, which are basically models that you don't need to run in heavy-duty data centers. They can be run on low-cost devices. And that's the kind of thing to be aware of. And also, usually when you're using these models, when it's all about energy efficiency, there's almost always like a smaller model version. There's a Flash, and then there's like a Pro. That's how Google calls them. The Flash is the very efficient, low-cost one that's going to be hyper-optimized. The Pro is basically them trying to be as powerful as possible. What's really good to know about is like Flash is usually 95% the performance of Pro with like much, much more energy efficiency. So most problems use Flash for. Very few are going to be only solved by like these Pro models. Always, I say, pick the bottom ones. Any other very niche topics?
Just off the back of that, are there ways that like, users could choose to use a lower rate model that they were in a browser?
Absolutely. There's usually a drop-down. There's usually a drop-down. If you look at the top left, at least in Gemini and all the other places, you can usually select the model, and it's always going to be like one of the drop-downs. They might not say specifically this is the lower, more efficient one. So you need to like research like what is the lowest, most efficient one, but usually there's always a drop-down. Any really niche topics? Let's go really niche.
What's the impact of AI on the circus industry?
So, the impact of AI on the circus industry is a really good question. It's a really good question. And you might think that I wasn't prepared for that question. But actually, I've got a slide for that. And the circus industry is one that has a lot of issues. There's things like the repetitive tasks within the circus, because you know it's a show, it's always back and forth, back and forth. There's opportunities to help with audience engagement. And in fact, I built a demo recently which is about sports analysis, and it's used to analyze things like performance and technique. And the same exact thing can be applied to the circus, because that's a huge like athletic thing. And and there's preserving the human element of artistry. That's actually deep. So thank you for that. You made my point perfectly. Okay, we're gonna go again. Yeah.
Can you ask AI how we should be afraid of it? And why?
How we should be afraid of AI is a really good question. We'll do this one more time. It's a really good question. It's kind of interesting because I thought about this for a long time, and I made a slide about that. And it's around the concerns, really. There's the big one that we've raised before around job displacement, and then okay, I'll stop with this now. Anyway, this is what I built yesterday. Actually, this is what I built yesterday using a tool called Firebase Studio. And this is the one that didn't work a long time ago, but when I tried it yesterday, like it actually built this thing. And I gave it a prompt that was, create a web app that's like a slideshow, it listens to the microphone, and I press down a button, and then generates the next slide, so it's like the slide was always there. And it actually built it. It built it for me. And then the kind of interesting technique with this is, it built it, but me being a web developer, I kind of like had this like perfect image in my mind of the app I wanted to build. And this is the thing to be mindful of. If you have low expectations, this could be very efficient. You could be done in 5 minutes. It actually did the MVP on the first prompt. It did the thing that I wanted to do, but it had a bit of some quirks in it. It would like say generating slide whenever you move to the next slide. It would just print the markdown, which was just like syntax, so it didn't look like bullet points. So because I had this perfect image in my head of exactly what I wanted, I went back and forth with this thing for about an hour to get this output. I still did not need to write any code, but I was very specific about certain things. And I kind of equate this to like, if you're taking like an Uber somewhere, you can close your eyes in an Uber and you can know when you're getting close to your house because there'll be more turns. So it's the 80-20 rule. Most of the journey is going to be very quick. You can get to the MVP very, very quickly. If you don't have like a specific vision in mind, but you just want like a certain feature to be fulfilled, you can be so efficient. But if you're still a perfectionist, if you're still like an expert in your field, not even a perfectionist, if you're just an expert, if you know like, I know what I want, I know what's possible, this will probably take a similar amount of time. Well, no, actually, no, that's complete. I've made that up right now. This took me an hour to build. The same quality app would have easily taken me a week, and I wouldn't get near the same level of polish. What's interesting is colleagues sitting next to me who are not web app developers, when I showed them this tool, they came up with ideas that technically would not be possible with the tool. And this is my sort of take on job displacement, is I believe like, as a web developer, this tool is amazing for me because I know what's possible with web development, so I am in the best position to delegate the task. And it's almost like the people who use AI the best are going to be the best managers. And what is a good manager is somebody who is able to clearly define a task, but also know exactly the capabilities of the person they're assigning it to. You can clearly define a task, and you can give it to someone who doesn't have the skill set, and the task isn't going to get done. The same exact thing is with AI, and that's why experimenting with this is so important. Try it, try to build things, see what it can and can't do. That's kind of calibrating your mind to like, who is this like new assistant I have? What are they capable of? And then in the future, if you're like, oh, I've got an idea, I know how this thing works, I know what it can and can't do, let me define the task so that it can do it for me in the most efficient way possible. And that's the most important thing. It's like, it's not just about clearly defining the task, it's also about knowing what's possible with the tool. And the only way to really discover that is to try it, experiment. And the unfortunate nature with this rapid development of these tools is you kind of have to continuously do that. You can try it and experiment with it, think you know the tool today, but because we're updating these models like on a monthly basis basically, a problem that it can't solve today can potentially be solved tomorrow. It's kind of like the awkward, bittersweet selling point of this thing. Like, you can try something, it doesn't work, and then you try it again, you're like, oh, it actually works now. It's an interesting time. But what's fun is like, I built that thing yesterday, and it works, and I'm showing it today, and that's pretty good, no?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, Zach.
Thanks.
That's cool. Yeah.
With that, we're into like a bit of a practical bit.
Yes.
I want to show you the most useful tool that I think is good to know about. And it's not so much a tool as it is a feature in a lot of these things. So we're going to come over here, and I've got a QR code actually. If people want to scan this, if whichever AI tool you're using, call it ChatGPT, this will take you to Gemini. If you have the Gemini app or whatever, you're going to go to that, but then I'm going to show you something special you need to try. And then I want to like hear what people have built, because you'll build it quickly. So scan that, let me know.
If you can't see the QR code, it's gemini.google.com. You can also
just search Gemini or whatever your preferred AI is. And the very important thing is, when you get to that, you'll see the thing. This is the drop down that we were talking about earlier. For some reason when I zoom in, it doesn't let me click it, but there you go. First, there's Flash is I think enabled by default, which is nice. The really important thing you want to enable is Canvas. So in whichever tool, a lot of these AIs now have this tool. It's called Canvas. I think Claude's is enabled by default. I'm not sure about ChatGPT's. Enable Canvas. What that is going to do is going to, whatever you ask, specifically for code, it's going to actually display as an app for what you're asking. So an example, I wanted to, build me a simple HTML app that allows me to input my password that is very long and complicated, and then it shows me the position of each of the characters as a number, so that I can easily enter it into one of those annoying bank applications where I have to give my first and second character. The key phrase to kind of include in all your prompts is a simple HTML app. That's going to make sure it renders like the code so that it can actually run properly. So simple HTML, boom. So I've got this thing, and I can type in my password, boop, 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 and then show character position, boom. And that's effectively, that's how we prototype now. That's it. If you've got an idea, enable Canvas. If it's a simple HTML web app, it's the same thing I did for my Sidestep app, and I actually built an app like this, and I actually use this to build a lot of sort of tools for myself, specifically around I was doing stuff like audio debugging. This is the most useful thing I think as a non-programmer you should know about, because now you can actually sort of build simple apps that kind of help you in life. Any questions about that? This is like the do-it-yourself now. So we'll do 5-10 minutes, try to build something, and then we'll do it's like a 10-second hackathon. People will tell us what they built,
Perfect.
and I'll walk around. Cool. All right. Thank you. Have a play.